Hey guys, happy magical Wednesday instead of it being Monday. But I wanted to show you, I made this fun little card for Slytherin, for Malfoy, essentially based, I always make a Gryffindor card usually, or Harry Potter, card. But this time I decided to make one that was very Slytherin, so I thought that was totally fun. So, oh, my ears today are just these fun little navy ears, and they've got the cutest little ribbon in the middle. I found them on Shop Disney, I think. And yeah, I got them on Shop Disney, and I just thought they were so cute. And I don't have any green ears, so we're just using these today. They're like my go-to favorite ears, so I wear them a lot. So anyway, all right, well, thanks for tuning in, and you can check out my tutorial now. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in for our Harry Potter Malfoy-Inspired card today. I hope you guys are having a great day. I just thought this was a fun alternative to a Harry Potter type card. So this card is a little bit different. It's not an open and close card. It's going to have a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 base. Because I'm putting the pocket on the front, I'm not going to have it open and close, because then that would make it like a really thick card, really thick. And you don't really want it to be that thick. So let's go ahead and get out our pieces. So I wanted to show you, yeah, like that. Okay. So I have that piece, and we'll get out this, and we'll do the coloring first because you have to let it dry. So, let me grab my scrap paper. There it is. Okay. So we've got 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 of the black. Then we have 2 inches by 4 1/4 of the pocket. So I'm going to be using that in just a second. And then for this is good. This is 4 inches by 4 inches by, let me get my little ruler. 4 inches by 3 3/4. I didn't need it to be the full length of the cardstock because the pocket's covering it up. And that actually, if you cut it right, this extra piece will be enough for your pocket. And so, yeah. So I actually pulled this, I think, from a scrap. I don't think it aligns perfectly. Yeah, I pulled this from a scrap or a different piece. So just so you know, just so you're aware. So I use the regular markers on the paper first. And as you can see all the streak marks that happen when you're using the regular markers. You just can tell where they've, it's like traditional coloring, like when you colored when you're a little kid, the marker stripes, you can see them. When you use the alcohol markers, you can see some discoloration when you've used the marker more than once, but you don't get the same streaking. So it gives you a smoother application. But it does, there's a resist. The reason why you can actually color on these is because the foil, this is a water-based ink. Well, it'll resist off the foil. It's not going to stick to the foil, so that's fine. So I just wanted to show you the difference there. And the alcohol will also resist off the foil here too. This paper is actually old. It's from silver and gold special 6x6 specialty paper. I think this was a celebration pack of paper, and it had gold stripes, polka dots, and one other, gold stripes, polka dots, and there's one more style that's in here, and I can't remember. I think there was one more type of paper in there, but just a generic design. So instead of using the stripes, which is what we've done here with the water-based, we're going to use the alcohol-based. And this is Shaded Spruce ink. And it's just going to resist off the foil. And I'm going to try my best not to have to go over it multiple times. That's my goal, so they get a more even coverage. But, you color however you have to. But see, like I'm already, it's the edges that I always leave off. Let's see, there we go. There we go. So I don't know. I mean, when it comes to Star Wars, I love the dark side And I kind of, sometimes with Harry Potter, I totally love the Slytherins at times. You know what I mean? Like, you kind of, I don't know. I don't want Slytherin to win. I don't want Voldemort to win. But I don't know. I love the wicked side. I don't know. I just find it to be fun. I love Disney villains as well. I just find them to be so funny. My niece said that I'm a dichotomy because I'm all Disney princess, and then I'll love a Disney villain, and I'm all about it. And I love Nightmare Before Christmas and The Dark and Halloween, and, you know, nothing, I don't like anything too scary, but I'm messing up the tip of my brush here because I'm a little too rough with it. But yeah, so I don't love Malfoy, but I do think he's funny. I do like redemption too. I love Harry Potter. I read Harry Potter as an adult. I was in my first couple of years of teaching, and my neighbor teacher, who was like so handsome at the time, he was like so cute, I'm not gonna lie. He was like, oh, it's the best book, you'll love it, read it. So I read it, and I thought it was great. I just read the first one or maybe two books, and then I never read any of the others. I think just life happened, and I moved, and then I think I read the first one, maybe two books, and then life happened, so I didn't read any others. And then a few years later, I moved to North Carolina, and I had my tonsils taken out, and I was, you know, there wasn't a whole lot you could do after you had your tonsils taken out because your equilibrium's all off. And I was an adult, but when it, you know, they took out my tonsils, which makes it worse, to be honest, because you're just not accustomed to that kind of like dizziness, and it was just very different. And so I read all the Harry Potter books, and it was just the best. 1 through 6. I read 1 through 6 in not one sitting, but within a week or so, or, you know, maybe a couple weeks, because I was recovering from my surgery. So I just read and read and read. And my grandmother was there to help me when I was recovering, and she was like, oh, you read all those books so quickly, but they were so good, I couldn't stop it. So anyway, so I just read and read, and then eventually I went and read Deathly Hallows when it first came out. My friend and I went to a release party for when it came out, and of course I read that through in like a day or two. It was just not even, well, not a day, probably took a couple of days because that's a pretty thick book. I don't read that quickly, but I remember, oh, this is the best, and I read it through, and yeah, it was fun. We went to Harry Potter. We were all dressed up as witches. I was dressed as just a generic witch, and all her kids were dressed as different versions of Harry Potter. One was a Quidditch Harry Potter, one was a Colin Creevey, and one was, you know, a regular traditional Harry Potter with the cloak. I don't know, it was just so cute, and so we had the best time. Anyway, so I love Harry Potter, and now my niece and I talk about Harry Potter all the time. She didn't read the books until an adult. She loved the movies, and so these have to dry because of all the alcohol. They have to dry. I see a bunch of white here, so I just don't want any white because you're going to be putting it against the black. You'll see where the white was. Let me do that real quick. But yeah, so my niece loves, there we go. See, I knew there was some white I was missing. My niece loved the movies, so I've gotten her to read. I think she's read the first couple books now. I don't think she's read them all. She did the audiobooks when she was driving these long distances back and forth to San Francisco, and now I think she just hasn't gotten around to reading the other ones. So we'll let that dry for a minute, and we'll get started on the other. Okay, so what we're using is a little piece of shaded spruce and a little piece of white cardstock. And let me get our little label. There it is. We'll get our little, these all came from the Just a Note dies. So the note paper and the Clipboard clip came from Just a Note dies. And it's just so perfect. So what I'm going to do is this piece of cardstock is, I'll leave this white paper down here so that you guys can see, because I'm going to have the black paper against the brown. So this green cardstock is 3 inches by 4 1/4. Whoops. 3 inches by 4 1/4. And this is just a corner rounder punch that we used to carry. We don't have a corner rounder now, but they sell these in lots of places, corner rounders, if you don't have one. They're very common in craft, scrapbooking stores and stuff like that. It's just one. This one has the corner rounder and like a tag hole and a little decorative like flower tag topper. And so we just cut off the corners because it needed to be clipboard, so it's got to be rounded. And so I just thought it was a good option. So then for the sentiment. So the sentiment to me just cracks me up. Let me grab the pen I used. I made, yeah, there we go. All right. So the pen I used, we're going to need this in a minute. So the pen I used is just a black ink pen. It's a little bit wet, so I'm going to let that dry, but I thought it would be funny to have a checklist, like what would be the checklist for Malfoy. So in order for me to figure out how far down I wanted to write, I just kind of tried to figure out where the clip would go. And when I put it against the basic card, I was like, oh, okay, I think it can go right there and still be able to tuck in and the ribbon come off the top, you know. So you just kind of play with it a little, see where you want it. So I wanted to figure out where I'd put my sentiment. So I'm starting about right here, starting just a little bit down, not too much. So I decided that Malfoy would first harass Potter. That's his first thing on his to-do list. Then he's gonna laugh with Crabbe and Goyle. Whoops, with Crabbe. And Crabbe is spelled with 2 B's. And Goyle. Then I put down that he would defeat Potter. And I was thinking maybe in like a Quidditch match, but I didn't want the list to be, I could put in Quidditch, but that to me felt a little too long. And then expel Potter. I had like get Potter expelled, but that got a little long, so it was easier. And then finally to gain glory. And I just use my regular handwriting. You could also use printing, like I just use my regular handwriting. Well, of course, he doesn't defeat Potter, so I draw some quick lines across. He doesn't expel Potter, and he doesn't gain glory. And so to me, I thought that was just really funny, and just kind of fun play. And then I'm going to take my Stampin' Write marker, Shaded Spruce again, and I'm going to I personally am using the brush tip, but I just want it to be a very thin brush, like check mark. So those two he actually did, but the others he didn't. So you don't want your brush mark to be too thick, but not too thin. So, you know, I don't know. The other tip, I'll show you. The other tip would have worked too. On this one, there's another tip for the old markers that didn't work as well. I guess I could have used that one. I just kind of like that one. Anyway, so there you go. So I'm going to glue this down. I hope you guys are having a good Wednesday. Okay. September 1st, if you don't know, is Harry Potter, like Return to Hogwarts Day. I guess in the UK, in King's Cross Station, like, I think right at 9 o'clock or something. Like, I forget the time now off the top of my head. The boards change to, like, it'll have a destination of Hogwarts on the board for a few minutes. And I just think that's really funny, you know, and cool. I think I'd like to go see that one day. I just think that'd be something cool. I want to go to England one day just because I just want to. I've just always, I love like British movies and TV and stuff. I think that'd be cool. Then I'd also like to go to Ireland, which is not part of England, but I've always been fascinated by Ireland and Scotland. I just think that would be really cool, but especially Ireland. I mean, Northern Ireland, I guess, is part of UK, but there's a lot of debate about that, so you have to be careful who you're talking to. It's a very controversial topic. Many people don't realize. But I grew up in the 80s, and I remember, like, I don't know, there was just a controversial, sad time. It's still sad at times. Anyway, I digress. So as you can see, it was still a little wet when I put my label on and glued it down, and so I have a little streak, but I'm not going to rewrite it or redo it. To offset that, you know what I could do is I could have like little dots, you know, like that, and make them you know, like streaked. You know, if it's really bothering you, you could do extra streaky dots in other places to kind of offset that one little streak. So that's an option. I don't know if I really care that much about it, so I think I'm just gonna leave it. Oh, and for this, the bottom, so out of the Sending Love, this is a retired stamp set, but they had this little envelope. And I love anything that has to do with stamps and mail. It's because I like sending cards. So I went ahead and I took the envelope stamp, and I'm just stamping the bottom corner with a little envelope. And I'm also going to be stamping the back of the card. Let me see, oh, there it is. In the back corner of the card, I'm going to stamp a little envelope as well, because you got to have a place where you can write something down. So I was going to put it on the back of the clipboard, but that made it kind of bulky, and I don't know, I kind of liked it just on a different page. So we've got that. Now I'm taking the Shaded Spruce, and I actually got this Wicked stamp from a generic stamp set. It looks like it's from My Sentiments Exactly, but honestly, I don't know where I found it. I want to maybe say I found it on Amazon. I really wanted this particular Boo stamp, and we didn't have a stamp at Stampin' Up! That was just Boo and the spiders and everything. So I really wanted that stamp. And I think My Best Witches was the other one I wanted. So there were a couple that I wanted, and then in the end, oh, Witching You, that was it. Witching You, A Happy Halloween is what I wanted, because I had this witch theme going on, and I just wanted something that was a little more witchy. And so that's how I came across this. I want to say I found it on Amazon. Okay, I hope I didn't do that crooked. No, it's all right. It's a little crooked, but not too bad. And so the Wicked I thought was appropriate. Oh, look at how crooked it is. Yeah, let's flip it over. It's pretty crooked. Let me move the paper. That's what happens when you stamp white on white. You know, when you stamp a white piece of cardstock against a white piece of paper, it's like you can't see to frame your stuff. There we go. Now it's nice and straight. And then let me stamp a little envelope real quick. And then we'll get our red marker for the envelope, because we got to put a little seal, gotta put a little seal. So I'm using the brush tip again, but you know, I wonder, let me try it. Oh no, see, this is the old pen. This is the old cherry cobbler that has the old tip. So this isn't a traditional marker tip. It's like a fine tip pen. So let me get, it's not really like a marker. Let's see. This is the new one. The new markers have a better bullet tip. So I'm putting a little red seal. It doesn't have to be a perfect little flower. It's just something sort of blobby to go right across the, and because it's cherry cobbler, it actually covers up most of that black ink pretty well. Cherry cobbler is a pretty dark ink. So there we go. Well, let's set that aside. Let's glue everything down. And so here we're going to take our paper. Now, just make sure you don't glue it on wrong. Make sure it's proportionate. So I made it to where the stripes are going up and down. And I don't know if you could tell, but these are silver stripes. And remember, Slytherin is silver and green. But the black I thought was a good offset color. Because, I don't know, having green against the silver and green, I just didn't want it too matchy-matchy. I just think that's, I don't know, I feel like this grounds it. I think this piece might be a little bit small, but it's good enough. And then for the, I see some white coming through. It's going to be covered by the clipboard, but all right, so we've got our, we're done with that, Okay, so now for our pocket, we're going to glue our other piece down. So this is 1 3/4 by 4 inches, this little piece. If you cut your paper like 4 inches by 5 1/4, then when you go to cut this off, it'll be just the right size, I believe. And so you see now I'm covering up the bottom of that, no problem. So now you can use white glue to glue on the edges, but I kind of want my pocket to be nice and tight. So I've got to make sure that the sides, tear and tape is just a really strong tape. And so I'm going to use this for my pocket because I'm going to be taking that little bookmark, clipboard bookmark in and out. And I'm going to go ahead and tear off the ends already, because that way whatever I put down here at the bottom can overlap. And so we're just putting tear and tape across the bottom. And you just tear it like masking tape. And so it's just a really strong, so because it's really strong, you just have to be careful when you're putting your 2 layers together. Just make sure they're aligned. Don't press anything down until you know you've got both sides ready. Oh, and the reason why I used this piece of paper underneath when I was coloring is because the blends will go through. As you can see, the blends actually bleed. They bleed through the paper. So I always have something below my designer series paper. Otherwise, you will ruin your tables. I know many friends that have ruined their tables and desks because they thought, oh, it's just a quick second, but alcohol markers do stain most surfaces. Oh, my little black piece is, this is small. It's like smaller. I think it's a little short. All right, let's just get it proportioned. Yeah, it's a little bit short on each side. This particular piece, I cut it a little too short, but because I proportioned it just right on each side, it's not that obvious, so I'm just gonna leave it. So now we take our silver ribbon. This ribbon is a retired ribbon I found in my stash. It's called Gray Granite Shimmer Ribbon. And I use the washi tape to hold the ribbon down on the spool. All right, so we're just gonna cut that piece off. Tie a little bow, and I thought the bow looked good actually. I wouldn't normally put a bow on a Harry Potter card, but I thought it looked right. And it added just a little bit more silver because this needed a little more silver than just the clip. Now, if your bow, if the bow is a little bit loose, don't worry. Just make sure your bow is nice and tight. I just want to make sure it's the right size bow. Okay, it's just going to keep fighting me. There we go. And then I'm going to trim off the ends here. Yeah, there we go. And I'm actually going to burn the ends. So, especially if this is going to be a bookmark, I'm hoping they'll take the little clipboard out to be a bookmark, but they might put the whole card as a bookmark. So the flame, you just hold the edge of your ribbon near the flame and it'll seal the ends of your ribbon. Okay. So now this is loose. Okay. So all you're going to do is you're going to take some Scotch tape. I'm literally taking regular Scotch tape. You can try and retie it and all these different things. I'm actually just going to take regular Scotch tape, and that's a giant piece, much bigger than I needed. But I'm going to just take regular Scotch tape and I'm just going to pull the slack up, and it's enough. It genuinely is fine. And then we're going to put our white piece over the top here. So yeah, I want to put glue on this side. Okay, I don't want to put it on upside down. I flipped my card for you guys and then realized, wait. Okay, and it'll hold because this white glue will stick. There we go. So we've got our back now, and now this is not as loose. Oh, it's still a little loose. I could have made it a little bit tighter, but it's good enough. I don't know if I want to try and tighten it even more. It might have loosened on me as I was putting the backing on. I really don't normally do this because sometimes it's harder to get it tighter than it was. That's why I usually just pull that slack up. Oh, it's about the same. Yeah, it's about the same. It's not the most slack, but it's not the most tight. I probably could have tightened it a little bit more with the slack tape on the back, but it's fine, you know. And it keeps it in place. And then you just tuck your little Harass Harry Potter. Oh, we've got to put the little ribbon on the top. So for this, I just put it through the top, and then I went and found some twine. I didn't want to use the white. I was looking for black, but then I found this striped one, this striped baker's twine. You could tie a knot, you can do a variety of things, but the knots can be kind of bulky in a book. So that's why I wasn't going to tie a knot. You can also do like a loop-de-loop kind of thing where you just kind of do a little loop through, like most bookmarks have like a little looped piece through. But I thought tying the little baker's twine knot would be fun. So that's all I'm doing is tying a little baker's twine knot, or not knot, a bow. Now, some people hate bows. You can tie a knot. You can wrap this around a few times. I should have actually wrapped it around more than once now that I think about it. But on my other one, I just did it once and then tied my bow. But I could have done it twice. Wrapped it around twice and then tied my bow. Okay, and then we'll just cut off our little ends with my fabric scissors. The ones with the piglet, the little baby ones with the piglet are my fabric scissors. And see, I burned the edge of this so that it wouldn't fray. It's starting to fray a little bit more because I've been using it, but it's been sealed, but it could use probably another sealing actually. Yeah, just use, I think, has worn the seal off. But yeah, so that's my little piglet. The one with the piglet knot is are my fabric scissors. I always know that. So, all right, so then I just pull this a little bit. I'm gonna trim this up a little. And then I'm gonna burn these as well because it's a bookmark. I wouldn't burn it if it weren't a bookmark. I probably wouldn't. Or unless it was a fabric, like on the Rapunzel card, I did burn it, I think, because all the braiding, you know, I needed the ends to be nice and sealed. Okay, there we go, perfect. Okay, so that's all nice and sealed. And that's the end of our card. That's it. No embellishments other than the ribbon, but it's super fun. Like, how fun is that for a Harry Potter, like, gift, you know? I just think that would be a really good gift. So this is the Malfoy one, but I also have a Gryffindor one that you'll see later. And so I just spoiled the surprise, but I will have a Gryffindor one. I can't help it. I gotta do both. So that's our card for today. So you can see my handwriting is not like perfect. It's just regular handwriting, nothing too fancy. I'll show on my other card. This is my handwriting on the other card. Again, laugh is a little messy, but I just try to write it like I naturally would write. Because if you try to write too nice, many times it'll come out worse than if you just write, you know? So yeah, so that's our card. So nothing too crazy, but a super quick, fun little card. So, all right, thanks for tuning in. Bye.